Shalom and welcome to Simchat Yisrael. The story of Torah often reads like an epic saga, on par with the Greek myths of Hercules, Perseus, or Achilles. The scriptures are filled with the exploits of larger-than-life heroes like the courageous Noah, the faithful Abraham, the valiant Joseph. But the protagonist of this week's Parsha, Tavo, is not a great prophet like Moses or a mighty warrior like Joshua. Our hero is a simple farmer, an unnamed future settler in the land of Israel. Before we begin, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel down below. The Parsha begins by telling us about a first fruits offering the people of Israel are to present to the Lord when they finally inhabit the land. On first reading, the mitzvah seems straightforward. This is simply a commandment to tithe, right? This tithe, however, is different. There is an elaborate ritual involved with this offering. The farmer is to collect the first fruits of his produce and bring them in a basket to the Kohen. But he can't just drop them off in the parking lot of the temple like a Goodwill donation. The farmer must present the offering to the Kohen and then say, "I declare today to Adonai your God that I have entered the land that Adonai swore to our fathers to give us." After the offering is accepted, the farmer must then proclaim, "My father was a wandering Aramean," and give a condensed version of the history of the Jewish people from the time of Jacob up until the present. Why does he need to do any of this? The Kohen must be sick to death of hearing it over and over again, and God already knows this story probably far better than the farmer. Whose benefit is this story for? It's easy in hindsight to take the story of the fulfillment of God's promise to Abraham for granted. But imagine how this story must have felt to the great heroes who actually lived it, our patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Abraham received this magnificent promise from God. "I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you I will curse, and all people on earth will be blessed through you." Abraham is expecting to have many children and to have a great land for them to dwell in. By the end of his life, he only has a single son, and the only land he owns is a tiny burial plot. Isaac must have believed that it was up to him to actualize God's promise to his father. He spends his life digging wells to establish his family's presence in the land. But by the end of his life, he is no more established in the land than his father was, and he only has 2 children. Hardly the great nation God promised. Finally, Jacob seems to be the one through whom God will realize his promise. Jacob has 12 sons, a fine start to a great nation. But Jacob sees all of that promise slip through his fingers when Joseph is sold into Egypt. Eventually, Jacob's whole family ends up in Egypt, and for hundreds of years, they remain there. God makes Israel into a great nation, but he does it apart from the land. The promise has been split up, and the Jews will be in exile for a very long time. The book of Genesis ends with the promises unfulfilled. The patriarchs, for all their courage and faithfulness and spiritual strength, failed to realize in their own lifetimes the promises that God had made to them. They must have been so disappointed by the story of their lives until the little farmer comes along. The protagonist of this week's Parsha is not a great prophet or a mighty warrior, but he's every bit as important to the Jewish story as Moses or Joshua. That farmer is the fulfillment of God's promise to Abraham. After countless years of exile and wandering and striving to return, this little farmer finally comes home to the land that the Lord swore to his fathers to give him. And when he brings the first fruits of his first ever harvest to the temple, he doesn't just drop them off. He stands before the Lord and he declares that he has entered the promised land and he is taking his place in the Jewish story, right along Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. In a few weeks, the Torah reading cycle will come to its end and the scrolls will be rolled back to the beginning. But the story of the Jewish people doesn't end there. It's an ongoing tale of the love God has for his people, and new heroes are entering this story every day. Today, many Jews are still not living in the land God promised and delivered to our fathers. But God promised more than just land and children to Abraham. God told Abraham, "All people on earth will be blessed through you." And all people have been blessed through Messiah Yeshua. When we partner with our Messiah in blessing the whole world, we too take our place in the Jewish story and stand alongside our heroes. Shalom and thanks for watching. If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe. And don't forget to visit simchatyisrael.org to learn more.